The reaction to the last season of Peaky Blinders dropping on Netflix is bittersweet all around. The show has been a cult classic for a few years now, and though fans were desperate for new episodes, they weren't quite ready for the show to be over. In today's video, we'll go over some funny bloopers and some cool behind-the-scenes moments of Peaky Blinders. First up is tomfoolery. For a show that can often be a bit too dark and gritty, the actors and the crew are nothing like it. They sure have pretty unique methods of de-stressing, quite unlike their characters on screen. In a recent blooper reel, Tom Hardy can be spotted doing, well, tomfoolery, pun intended. The video shows Tom and his stunt double playing a game with spoons involved. While the poor stunt double plays the game fairly, trying to hit Tom with the spoon in his mouth, Tom is clearly a fan of bending the rules a bit. He brings in an accomplice who uses his full force to hit the spoon, while he just pretends that he used his mouth, maybe acting his jest in his blood. But hey, who hasn't cheated at least once in their life? We know we sure have. Next, we have listening to music. While the Shelbys might enjoy some classics and jazz, it doesn't look like Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy do. Their style is a bit more modern, to say the least. In one set leak, the cast can be seen huddled up, goofing around to rap music while they take a break between scenes. At this point, the biggest question in our minds is Cillian Murphy a Drake guy or a Kanye guy? Or is he both? Either way, Thomas Shelby probably wouldn't like Cillian Murphy very much. And now for Tommy's office. Did you by any chance catch yourself wondering why the set for Tommy's office felt so familiar? It's probably because it was intended to be that way. The showrunners borrowed heavy inspiration from The Godfather to make that office come to life. Grant Montgomery, whose primary job was to design sets and pick the ideal location for them, shared how much he wanted Tommy's office to emulate the power of his perception of his peers and his efforts. For the second series of the show, the stone arches, the windows, and the wood paneling in the office were placed in a way that they would remind you of Don Corleone's library from the opening scenes of The Godfather. If you really have an eye for detail, you might even spot some of the orange details in the scenes. According to Grant, the orange represented the impending doom in The Godfather and added a playful visual smile to this set. What's another cool thing is that this office was one out of a staggering 120 sets from just the second series. So many sets essentially were created to help tell the story of the Shelbys' business operations expanding. Next up, Stephen Knight's lies. The mastermind behind the whole show, screenwriter Stephen Knight, is also apparently a part-time jokester. According to many cast members, Stephen was extremely fond of deceiving the cast and telling them random lies about what's going to happen in the show next, just to keep them on their toes. This happened so much so that the cast was left constantly guessing who will be the next person to star in the show. Consider this, for example. Joe Cole, who plays John Shelby, revealed in a red carpet interview how Steve had been claiming Snoop Dogg would join the Peaky Blinders family. Could you imagine Snoop Dogg and Thomas Shelby in the same room? It'd be quite a sight to see, that's for sure. What's funnier is that Snoop is actually a fan of the show. Reportedly, he even met up with Steven to get high in a 3-hour meeting once. Oof, we can't stop wondering what they talked about that night. This false info trick definitely worked out well for Steven though. The cast members became a lot more conscious about what they could tell the world on what's next for the show, since they never knew whether what they knew themselves was true or a complete joke. And now, Stephen Knight doesn't watch any other shows. While we're on the topic of Stephen Knight, one of the oddest things about him is how he refused to watch any other shows during the production of this one. Some writers watch other shows for inspiration, but not this one. He actually admitted that he was simply too scared that he would steer away from his own creative vision and didn't want to accidentally borrow any ideas from other shows. We know for sure other writers are definitely watching Peaky Blinders though. After all, this was the period drama that set off the whole period drama industry. It's probably why The Wire and Boardwalk Empire are compared to this show so often. Up next, Cillian Murphy is disappointed. If you've been on the internet long enough, you've probably heard of the disappointed Cillian Murphy meme by now. But if you aren't chronically online like the rest of us, don't worry, we'll catch you up. This meme blew up on Twitter when fans started to notice how Cillian always looks like he's disappointed, and thinking about the true meaning of life when he's not the one talking in interviews. And of course, the internet, being the internet, was quick to respond with their renditions of the meme. Safe to say, we're really glad Peaky Blinders came out. How else would we get interviews of Cillian and new meme content? Now for 3,000 herbal cigarettes. While it took no time for Thomas Shelby to light up a cig, Cillian himself isn't a fan of smoking, for obvious health reasons. Now, Cillian obviously needed to smoke to be able to play the part right, so instead of the regular nicotine-filled cigs, he opted for a rose-scented herbal kind. Unlike actual cigarettes, the ones he uses have flavor and nutrients which are good for the body, and are so weak that they could probably be taken 5 a day. For one season, he assigned one prop guy the role of counting how many cigarettes he goes through. The total came out to a whopping 3,000. Imagine the state of Cillian's lungs if he didn't have an alternative to the original cigarette. So is Thomas going to hell? Director of the second season, Colm McCarthy, confirmed that using fire imagery consistently during the show was a deliberate choice. We first see the flames of the fireball in the garrison, then again in the same location with a fire burning behind Thomas. The end of the episode has Tommy in a pit with a flame in the background. Apparently, all of this is a nod to the fact that Tommy's eventual fate resides in hell. Up next, Liam Neeson helped Sam Neill with his Irish accent. To nail the role of Campbell as a Northern Irishman, Sam Neill needed a perfect Irish accent. Although he was born in Ireland, he lived in New Zealand for most of his life, where he believes his accent was beaten out of him. So to refresh his memory and sharpen his Irish side, he took help from his friends Liam Neeson and James Nesbitt. Eventually, he managed to get the accent just right. What's kind of hilarious though is how after all of this effort, the showrunners decided the actors should loosen up the accents a little bit, so the show could be enjoyed all over the world, especially in America. And now, Michael Gray and John Shelby are actually related. Michael and John play cousins in the show, but in real life, the actors who play them are not only just related, but also brothers. Talent really runs in the family for these brothers, or maybe acting's the family business. Yep, that's right, John and Finn Cole are brothers. It's almost like Ashley Olsen was brought to the MCU to play Scarlet Witch's cousin, or Casey Affleck was made to play Batman's cousin. According to Joe, Finn kept nagging him about auditioning for the part. Finn, on the other hand, never even planned to audition. He was focusing on his A-levels exams at the time and picked up the script out of boredom. And what do you know, the rest is history. And did you know Alfie Solomons and May Carlton are actually husband and wife? Speaking of on-screen and off-screen relationships blending in together, the actors playing Alfie Solomons and May Carlton's roles are actually married in real life. Charlotte Riley and Tom Hardy reportedly met not on this set, but rather back in 2009 when they were both on the set of BBC's Wuthering Heights. Fate truly is so magical. The couple got married in 2014. Since then, they've had 2 children and even adopted some dogs together. Finally, the story is based off a story told to Stephen Knight by his father. The showrunner confirmed that the idea for the show came about from a story his dad told him when he was little. The story involved Steve's grandfather telling his father to deliver some letters to his uncles, which went on to become the Shelbys. When you think of how the creator's own dad was involved in such activities, the character's complexities make perfect sense. And that's a wrap for this video. What was your favorite piece of Peaky Blinders trivia? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.